the language of self-compassion. I've had to learn that sometimes the person who speaks to me the harshest is me. I've replayed things I've said. I've questioned choices I've made. I've wondered whether I could have done more, loved better, known sooner, handled things differently, been stronger, been wiser. And sometimes I thought that being hard on myself would somehow make me better. If I criticized myself enough, maybe I wouldn't make the same mistake again. If I held myself accountable enough, maybe I could finally become the person I was supposed to be. But I've learned something. Cruelty isn't the same thing as accountability. I don't become a better person by constantly telling myself that I'm not good enough. I become a better person by being honest enough to recognize where I need to grow, and compassionate enough to actually allow myself to grow. That's where self-compassion entered my life, and it changed the language I use with myself. Instead of, "What's wrong with me?" I try, "What am I going through?" Instead of, "Why did I do that?" I ask, "What was I feeling or needing at the time?" Instead of, "I should have known better." I remind myself, I know more now because I've lived more. Instead of, "I failed," I ask, "What did this teach me?" Instead of, "I'm too sensitive," I remind myself, I feel deeply and I'm learning how to care for that part of myself. And instead of, "I have to get over this," I say, "I can take the time I need to process this." That change in language might seem small. It isn't. The words we repeatedly say to ourselves become the environment we live inside, and I don't want my own mind to become a place where I am constantly on trial. I want it to become a place where I can tell the truth, a place where I can admit mistakes without being destroyed by shame, a place where I can acknowledge pain without believing pain is all I am, a place where I can say, "I don't know. I'm struggling. I need help. I made a mistake. I'm changing. I'm still learning, and still know I am worthy." I've learned that self-compassion doesn't mean letting myself off the hook. It means holding myself accountable without taking away my humanity. I can apologize. I can make amends. I can change my behavior. I can learn from consequences. I can recognize patterns I don't want to repeat. And I can still forgive myself. Those things can exist together because the purpose of accountability is growth, not punishment. And I've spent enough of my life trying to carry everything perfectly to understand that perfection isn't the goal. Awareness is, growth is, honesty is, becoming is. I've also realized that I would never talk to someone I love the way I've sometimes talked to myself. If someone I cared about was hurting, I wouldn't tell them they were pathetic for struggling. If they made a mistake, I wouldn't tell them their entire life was defined by it. If they were grieving, I wouldn't tell them they should have healed already. If they were confused, I wouldn't shame them for not having every answer. So why should I offer them compassion while refusing to offer it to myself? That question has stayed with me. And now, when I catch myself becoming harsh with myself, I try to pause. I breathe. I ask what I'm actually feeling. I ask what I need. I remind myself that I'm allowed to be human. Sometimes I write to myself. Sometimes I pray. Sometimes I create. Sometimes I simply sit quietly and let myself feel what I need to feel. And sometimes the most powerful thing I can say is, "You're doing the best you can with what you know today." Not because I want to stay the same, but because I want to give myself enough safety to keep growing. So how do I help myself remember? I change the way I speak to myself. I stop turning mistakes into identities. I separate what I did from who I am. I acknowledge my progress. I celebrate small changes. I forgive myself for not knowing what I know now. I give myself permission to rest. I let myself feel. And when I fall short, I don't ask, "How can I punish myself for this?" I ask, "What can I learn from this, and how can I do better next time?" That is the language I'm learning. The language of compassion, the language of patience, the language of forgiveness, the language of growth. And perhaps the most important sentence I've learned to say to myself is, I don't have to hate who I was in order to love who I'm becoming. My past self deserves compassion. My present self deserves compassion. And the person I'm becoming deserves compassion too. Because I'm not finished. None of us are. We are all becoming. And maybe coming home to yourself means finally making your own inner world a place where you don't have to be afraid of yourself. A place where you can tell the truth. A place where you can make mistakes. A place where you can heal. A place where you can grow. A place where you can come back after you've lost your way. A place where you can say, I am still learning how to love myself. But I am learning. And sometimes, learning is enough. The way you speak to yourself matters. If your best friend made the same mistakes you've made, would you speak to them the way you speak to yourself? Maybe it's time to give yourself the words you've been giving everyone else. Compassion.